I'm having a conversation in my head. I need to say it out, man. Hi lovelies, and welcome back to our lovely space. Welcome back to the channel. If you are returning, you are an OG. That's what you are. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Thank you so much for returning back and to hear me talk. And if you are new in our midst, you are welcome in the name of the Lord. Tola. I joke too much. And so if you're new here, you are more than welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Please consider subscribing and join us. We love to have you. But yeah, welcome everyone. Let me really introduce myself. My name is Tola. So there are a couple of things that I want to highlight, and this might help someone who's just coming into the country newly, or if you've been here for a couple of years like myself. It probably would just help you align yourself so that you can maximize what this country has to offer. I won't necessarily call them regrets, but these are 5 things that I will leverage on if I were to do this all over again. I should have put out this video, say maybe 2 years ago. It's taken me quite a while to just get my thoughts together and, kind of say how it is really, how I'm really feeling. If you see me looking down, I have my notes written down. So point number 1, we're talking about the importance of family and just prioritizing your family. Coming into this country back in 2021, I came in with my children. My husband came in a couple of days before us. Long story, but so yeah, we came in, and the UK, as soon as you come in, you have to get settled because everything kind of happens in sequence, and if you don't get one thing done, you can't move or progress to the next step. So obviously coming in, you have to find a house before you find the children's school, before you are able to apply for jobs, and then it just goes on like that. And all the while that you are still looking for all of that to get into place, bills are already waiting for you. You know how the system works. You know that you are paid everything per month. It's kind of like a moving train, like you're jumping into a moving train because of how the system is structured here. It's not quite different to South Africa that I'm coming from. We'll get to that into a separate video. You have to hit the ground running. And if you don't have your priorities in order, if you are just focused on the bills and how to make payments for these bills, how to go out there and get jobs and, work before you can pay bills, you might lose sight of what is important. Case in point, when I came to the country, the first job that I was able to get was a care assistant job. And while I'm grateful for the job and the opportunity to even work in the first place, I almost fell into the rut of losing sight of what is important. First of all, in my peculiar situation, I was working only nights. I was sleeping in the day and working at night. So I didn't get to be part of, school runs as much as I wanted to. I was cranky, I was lashing out, I was very grumpy, I was extremely burnt out. I was in a rat race, so to say, because even though it worked out well for the dynamic of my family, and I had a husband who was present and very hands-on, this could be very damaging, and I cannot even begin to imagine how life is with only one parent in the picture. So prioritizing your family is one thing that I would tell anyone who's looking to come into the country, or anyone who is looking to get a job. Whatever job you do, whatever thing you are doing in this country, if it's school, whatever it is, don't lose sight of what is important, because at the end of the day, your family is your support system. Before we came to the UK, I used to be at home like a stay-home mom for 8 solid years back to back, and my husband and my children are the only things I know. And coming into a place where I now had to work, and not just work normal hours, I had to work through the night, come back home, try to find time to sleep, catch up with chores, be an individual. It took a lot. That was why the first opportunity I had to get out of night shifts, I took it and I ran with it. So yeah, I did that for about a year plus, and it was quite damaging. Yeah, that's one thing I would definitely warn against. The second point is to not stay too long on entry-level jobs. Now, it's easier said than done, because coming to the country, we all know that most people find entry-level jobs, and as soon as they're settled, I think you kind of just settle in your mind that I have one, at least I have one, let me just stay and work. The mistake most of us make is to stay. It's not wrong if you are working towards a bigger picture, but where you can really miss it is if you have no plan to scale up, if you have no plan to upgrade yourself, or to do something that can elevate you from that entry-level job. The reason why I say that is because most of us coming into the country probably already have a first degree. We already have maybe masters. Some of us even come in as students and get entry-level jobs and stay on those entry-level jobs. It's very wrong. It's obviously, that you are not maximizing your potential. You are underplaying yourself. You're working yourself to the bone for minimum wage, and that is not the best that you can do, especially in a country like this. Not to say that entry-level jobs are basic. No, that's not what I'm saying. It pays the bills, you can live fine on it, but there is something better. There's always a step higher. Skill up, skill up. So when I was still working as a healthcare assistant, I was on a shift one particular night, and there was this elderly lady that was also on shift with me as well. She was Nigerian, or she is Nigerian, and we got talking, and then she just told me, oh, she's been in the country for about 16 years, and this is the only job she does. She does about 5 to 6 nights, and she's able to pay for her house. She's paying for a mortgage and all of that. So that's what I'm telling you, that you are able to live fine, but there is something better you can do. I can't imagine myself being a healthcare assistant for 16 years. I can't. And that's not a statement said out of pride or anything, but I know I can do better than that. I know that I want better. I want more for myself. If you come in and get a job, if it could be working in a factory, it could be working as a healthcare assistant, you could be working as a cleaner, whatever it is you find to do it and do it well. Do it with integrity, but skill up. If you've been in the country for over 3 years, there are opportunities for you to skill up, fully funded by the government, and is not considered public funds. So look into it, check on the government website, and do your level best to advance yourself. If you like the healthcare route, look for ways to scale up. There are MVQs that you could do to scale up and move to the next band. There's a lot you can do. Don't stay at that level for long. There's a rot that comes with it, and it's harsh to say, but it's the truth. Now, I don't say this to slight any manager or any team lead. Check their qualifications, check what they have, check what you have, and see who should be ranking higher than who. If your manager or your line manager is not giving you the information you want or the information you need, you feel like there's nothing you can do, Google, research, ask people, go online, check for what you can do to go to the next band for where you are. Set a goal for yourself. Where do I see myself in 3 years from now? Where do I see myself next year? Really, set those goals for yourself and see what you come up with. I promise you, you will challenge yourself and you will rise to the occasion and surpass your expectations. Point number 3 is your work-life balance. I touched on this with my first point, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one who's feeling this way. But when I used to work as a healthcare assistant, I didn't know what day of the week I was on. I didn't know what a weekend was compared to a weekday. Everything was all muddled up. And that was because I had no work-life balance. It was just work. And I was happy to get jobs because it paid the bills. We were able to get a car. We were able to send money home. We were able to do things. And you lose sight. This is what I'm saying. You will lose sight of what is important, because once there's no work-life balance, how will you prioritize family? How will you, have a personal, spiritual life? If I had a Sunday shift, I would gladly take it because I knew it was time and a half. All of that, I had to scrape it off by the second year because it had started to damage my spiritual life. It had, made me struggle to have personal time for myself, for me to even want to do anything fun. On my days off, I just want to lie in bed or clean the house or batch cook. There was no day that I was free. I was either creating content, editing the video, trying to sleep or do chores. There was no day. There was hardly any day where I would say, oh, today I'm probably just going to go out and window shop. I'm going to go out and get something nice for myself or my family, or we're just going to go out as a family. There was hardly any day in the whole year that I would want to do anything fun. And that was weird, because coming from South Africa, where I had all this time in my hands, I had work-life balance. Even though I was only a content creator back in South Africa, I still knew what days of the week was. Before you know it, it starts to affect your mental health. And before you know it, you are panicking when it's time to go back to work. If you have 2 to 3 days off, you know the feeling when those 3 days are running out. You can bear me witness. If you've worked the work in this country, you understand what I'm saying. Going forward, I've told myself that the next job I get, I will remove weekend from my available days, because I know what I am enjoying, having to attend church every Sunday. There was a time where I can count how many times I went to church on my 10 fingers in a year, which is very bad. Sometimes when I even make it to church, I'm sleeping, which tells you that I'm burnt out. Sometimes I'm coming from work, straight into the shower, let's go to church. When I get there, your girl is gone. I'm just gone. It's terrible, because that's not the way life is supposed to be, honestly. If we're being honest, if you check how people are living, it's not normal. There should be days for rest. There should be days for you to recalibrate and just get your mind right. Spend time with family, go out, even if it's just movie night at home with the family. do something that will allow you to distress, because how can you function as a human being when you are burnt out? How can you live normally when all you're thinking about is, oh, is my uniform clean? What days am I working? There's hardly any day for you to do anything. How can you have time for yourself, let alone your family? How is that going to be possible? You and your husband are in this country together. Plan your work schedule around it. If it means less money but a happier you, a happier family, better relationship with your children. And I say this especially for those who are raising children. This country, you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention no matter the age. They could be toddlers, they could be teens, they could be preteens, they could be full-on adults. You need time to spend with your family because it's important. You can see the decay, and that's because they've not really had that nurture from parents, from their mothers, especially if you're a woman. I can't even emphasize this enough because you really, really, really need to be present. Point number 4 is your finance. You see, when you get into the country, like I said, the first job you get, take it, do it well, do it with integrity, but then have a plan. Play the long game. This is something that I will advise myself if I were to come back or if I were to immigrate again to another country. I would plan my finances a whole lot better. And you cannot do this if you do not understand the financial infrastructure of the country that you're in. In this country, if you are not someone who understands how to use a credit card, how to use a debit card, how to build your credits, you're gonna struggle really bad. And the system is going to play you and take advantage of you, and you are going to be a slave to your finances for years and years on end. Now, if you look at the structure of the UK, you will see that some people will come into the UK and say in about 2-3 years, they've bought a house. And you see another set of people that come into the UK, they've been here for 10 years, they've been here for about 15 years, and they're still renting. I'm not going to ask you to answer what category of people you are in, but there are some people who know how to work their finances, how to put their money to work for them. You need to find it out. I don't want to be 5 years in this country and not have property to my name. I think I've touched on this in one vlog before, and if you are looking to build your credit, one major way you can do that is through your credit cards. You need to be a very prudent person to know how to use it wisely and how to put it to work for you. Now, if you're someone who has a steady income, you have no reason not to have a credit card and not to put that credit card to work for you. There are a number of credit cards available. You have Amex, you have Montoflex, Ocean, you have a ton. You have a ton of options to choose from. Do your research, find a plan that works for you, build your credits. Because if you are going to own a home, if you're going to have investment in property, if you want to go into, real estate, you need to have something to back you up, and that's money. At the end of the day, you need your finances to be in order. This is one thing I would tell every newbie, every person who has been here for a while and still doesn't have this in check. Get right with your finances, get right with your money and your spending. If you are someone who is an impulse buyer, receive grace to do better. Receive grace to control and contain yourself. Receive grace for contentment. You don't need that bag. You don't need that shoe. You don't need that hair. You don't need it. Save. And even if you're going to get something that's expensive, there's Klarna. You have heard of that one before, where you're able to split payments into 3 places. That one also boosts your credit. Did you know that? You can also get finances with Monzo. Get your finances in check so that years from now, when the rest of us are flying in the sky, you will not still be crawling. Okay? The last and final point, number 5, is the power of community. You see, all these things I've talked about, all these points, you can leverage on community. When I talk about community, I'm not talking about only people that are from your country. I'm talking about like-minded people. It could be your local church. It could be in your street. It could be from the council. Talk to people. If you're not a friendly person or you're not someone who is naturally outgoing, there are online communities as well that you could benefit from. If you're someone who likes your privacy like me, go on Facebook. Look for Nigerian community near me. Look for African community near me. Check. When we first came into the country and we got our place, we leveraged on our community, and that was based around the local church we had. The people on my street, I was really blessed and truly fortunate to have those people talk to me and tell me about where I could get some things just to give me that soft landing. Like, for instance, I got to learn about so many charity shops where I could buy home appliances, where I could get things at a ridiculous price to set up my home and just get me started. You also get to hear about shops and places where you can get alternatives for maybe your food, maybe your hair. You can get to hear about job openings. The mental health job I got was through a community because I knew someone who told me about a job that was opening up and they were massively recruiting, and I was part of a massive recruitment that got me out of the night shift that I was rotting in, and I got to work days as well. The importance of community cannot be overemphasized because no man is an island on his own. No one can boast of knowing everything. If you're not someone who reads a lot, if you're not someone who is conversant with how the structure of the country that you're in is, you're going to struggle a lot on your own because you need people. That's one thing I've understood, living outside Nigeria ever since 2013. You need a community. Now, for someone like me, I live in a remote part of the UK, and where I am, I don't really have a Nigerian community. But I know people in my local church. You could cut your journey in half just by that. I know someone who was able to buy a house because of the community that she found herself in. Now, while you're networking, while you are building your community, you also need to be wise and keep your eyes peeled because, you can't really vouch for any and everybody. That's why you take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. If you are someone who is overtly extroverted and you make friends easily, you might want to watch it because, as much as you want to be friendly and interact with people, get information, you don't want to be caught up in the wrong crowd. So with these few points of mine, I hope that I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that you need to, have a think. It's the start of a new year, the year is literally just starting off. You need to get some things in perspective. Align your priorities, get them straight so that, we can run this year, we can fly. Remember to leave me comments in the comment section. I do my best to respond to every single person. Also, like this video if you found it helpful, share it with your community. If you will not be considered a nuisance, if you have WhatsApp group, send it to them. All right, you guys, I will see you in the next one.